Hey, hello, and how you going? My name's Ben, this is SSR, and today we're finally installing big old snorkel boy onto the dad wagon Ford Everest. So basically we're just going to go through on how to install it. If you've got an Everest and you've bought parts for them, a lot of them are classed as an Everest / Ranger part. They do fit almost 99% of the way, but we've already discovered that we are going to have to make some adjustments, so we'll record that for anybody that is looking at getting a snorkel. This is meant to be a replicant of the OEM snorkel that you can actually order from Ford, but this is only $150. I don't know the prices from Ford, but it'll probably be something like $600, so a lot cheaper to do it this way. But yeah, we do have to make some modifications, so we'll walk you through how to install it, do a sound test. I don't know if we'll do a sound test tonight because it is about 7 o'clock at night, but yeah, let's get into it. We've got Corey here from All Drive Adventures or CWQ Media, whatever content you like to absorb. He's going to help me pull this off. It all looks pretty simple, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's not half bad. It's just a series of bolts. Hopefully we're not going to have any hex style bolts holding this air box in, but so yeah, with this plug here we pull the red insert out first, and then after we pull the red insert we have a push tab just below that one. Remove it. Definitely keep the airflow meter or sensor inside the air box, as if you drop it or misplace it, you're not going to be able to start your car. Now, pretty easy. Pop that fella off there, and then
tube off, which hopefully should be. Might have to get those pliers again.
Yeah, then fillers on it.
There we go. Pop that off. I'm not sure if you can see this, but you've got these little clip tabs to pull off the top of the air filter. Watch out for your coolant line here. It's not in an amazing position, but
it is not.
Is what it is.
So next step is to remove this little fresh air feed here. So you can either use a, that might be a T30 or a T25 bit, but regardless, it has a little slot in there so you can remove it with a flathead screwdriver.
The socket's set out, so we can start taking the airbox.
So it looks like we've got one 8mm on the front, one 8mm on the rear, and then probably plastic clip or bung that a little foot here sits in. Alright, so for anyone watching at home, just over here in this corner, right up against the side of the inner guard, we have a plastic bung. Alright, so that's what I was talking about right here, is this little rubber nipple that goes into the part with the guard mounts. Yeah, apart from that, 8mm here, 8mm there. Obviously this is where the factory little fresh air feed snorkel was, but no longer required.
You're going to take out all the guard liner here, so you get a couple of these trim screws, and then you've also, you probably won't be able to see much because of the light, but there's a few around there as well. So you're going to take all that out because the snorkel is going to fit up in here and then come to about there. So we're going to take that all out.
Right, so once you've wrestled the 12 clips out, pretty much grab your guard liner, pull it towards the engine, just like that. That's going to be a fun thing to tuck back in. Unclip that little fucker.
Alright, so that up there is your clips for that, which is pretty much where the snorkel's going. So we've just got to undo those. You've got this, we've described it as a whale cock, but it's whatever it is in there. That's that little piece that comes off there. You call them side vents, but they're not actually vents because they're not open. But if we take that off, which we have, snorkel pretty much goes there, so we don't actually have to drill drill anything apart from a screw hole to mount it on there, which is awesome.
And the kit comes with pot rivets, so you don't need to supply those yourself. My light just shone before my eyes. Alright, let's give that a test.
This, oh, hang on, I'm behind the camera so it's all back to front. So this here, I'm trying to get into focus, is what goes behind. And this is the template they gave to us, and it doesn't fit. It's completely the wrong size. So I would just, what we basically did is put this in by the back, attached a pop rivet to the one showing hole and hole on the actual guard itself, and then we just used a very, very small drill bit to try and find it, and we luckily paired it up first go, but I would not trust that. I don't know if it's just a company thing and the other companies are better, but yeah, don't just trust it. Oh, fucking hell.
Alright, so next step to fit this here gasket to the back of the snorkel. Now what this does here is keep debris out from between the plastic snorkel and the painted surface of the guard. Also helps just to stop dirt and debris getting in and out, places you don't want it to go.
Probably vibration as well, probably.
Yeah, vibration as well. Definitely squeaking with dust, that's a big one, especially with metal snorkels. Not sure if you can see, but there are some small spots that you need to pop out just for these little, I believe these actually will offer up to the holes that are in the mount on there. So that's good to know where those are.
So that will be
on the light. Those there will be offered up to these holes here.
Yeah.
And that will center, plus also help fix it once we do actually put the bolts through for the back. Everyone write in the comments, how good is this going to fit? So anyway, just like with applying vinyl, you want to work from one end to the other. We will, actually, what makes more sense, I think we'll start from the bottom, seeing as that is the part that requires the most accuracy. Alright, so I'll just fold that off there. That way, I can get that as straight as possible. Just work your way across it and down. Don't stress too much if it doesn't stick. It is pretty much just there to keep it in place as we offer it up to the fender.
Alright, so it's daytime now.
Certainly is.
We had a bit of a fuck around. Firstly, check where you get this kit from. I'll link the website I got it from. The bolts in it were a little bit too short for inside the guard here that it actually attaches the snorkel. So it was an absolute nightmare to actually get them to grab into the thread holes, and that took probably about 2 hours. So we finally got it on. The other thing is as well, the Everest's roof rails are one big solid piece of metal. The Ranger ones, which is snorkels actually made for, actually only have like a little bracket that sits there and then it's a tube that comes over, so you can actually flex it up to get the mount in, just to hold the snorkel in place and stop it from vibrating. So what we're gonna have to do is, we've got this pod filter bracket, and basically we're going to cut it so it's obviously not massive on top of the roof, and that bit there going to go on the snorkel, and then down here we're going to attach it to the actual roof rail. So like I said in one of the previous videos, because it is made for a Ranger, you are going to have to customize it a little bit. It's not as simple as we thought, but anyway. Alright, so as you can see, that's all the tubing there. So that goes through there and connects to the airbox. We've mounted that one up, and we're just about to drill the hole for that bracket there, so that'll sit up all nice, and then reconnects to the actual snorkel over there. And I have just sprayed, I'm not sure if you can see it, but over the hole that I've drilled, I've sprayed some rust protective on there. Any holes that you are drilling in the metal of the car, make sure you use that, just in case. Alright, so what we're doing now is, because the Ranger airbox is a circular one and actually has a cold air feed come from here, the Everest one actually has a cold air feed come from here, we're going to have to drill a hole in the side of that until I can get my hands on a Ranger one. So, a bit of tube, and this metal, we'll go onto that. Obviously we'll silicone round it to make it all airtight and everything. Alright guys, so ignore the Miss Rachel in the background. My daughter's over there. We're just entertaining her. So Corey's cut the hole in the side of the airbox for that tube to go through. Just trying to adjust the back end there so it'll just line up a bit better. Alright, so a little bit of an update, and I'll get up here where we can kind of see it, but put the bracket from the snorkel onto there. Corey's currently just put this little Perspex bung in there, which is where the original cold air feed goes. And then we've obviously got the pipe that goes to from the snorkel.
Yeah, ignore that, that's just there to hold this from flying out. Take that out once it's glued in.
These are things you have to do.
Yeah, exactly.
It's an Everest.
Yeah.
Alright guys, so it did take a lot longer than we thought, but we finally got on. It's not as loud as we were hoping, but it did have like a silencer in there, which is annoying because you usually get a snorkel because you want to hear obviously the spooling noises, but that's alright. Obviously haven't done like an off-roading test yet, but next time we go out we'll be able to. Yeah, we're just going to do a few passes here so you can hopefully hear it and go from there. Alright guys, so that's going to do us for this episode. I know it was a little bit all over the place, but with how many issues we had installing this snorkel, I kept forgetting to record and update things, so I will just go through how we went right now and give you my feedback on what you should or shouldn't do when installing a snorkel. So firstly, if you can afford to get a custom-made snorkel that perfectly fits on an Everest, do it. Because these OEM ones, or the rip-off of the OEM ones that are Ranger / Everest, they fit 90% of the way, but there's about 10% that you do need to change. First being the airbox. Like I discussed in the video, Ranger has a circle airbox with a side duct for the factory cold air feed, and that's where the snorkel lines up to. But on an Everest, it's got a panel filter, and the cold air feed's at the front. So obviously what we had to do was drill through the side where the snorkel actually goes into, and then seal up the front where the factory one is, which was a whole bunch of stuffing around, add an hour and a half to the mix of Corey cutting, silicone, and making something, a little bit of Perspex to go in the original cold air feed. So that was a nightmare. Secondly, wherever you get it from, make sure they provide you with long enough bolts, because I don't know if you saw in there or if I went over it, but where we were attaching it inside the guard to the actual snorkel, the bolts weren't long enough, so we were pressing the snorkel as hard as we can against the guard without bending it in. The bolts were just not reaching. They were like a couple of mil too short, so we ended up having to find some other ones that I had laying around that were the right thread pattern and were long enough to go in. So that's another thing that was annoying. That added another hour and a half, 2 hours to the mix of constantly trying to, you know, Corey pushing on it, me trying to get it, other way around, me pushing on it, Corey trying to get it, and it was a freaking nightmare. Other than that, you got all your usual things like pulling the guard liner out. It's quite hard because they've got those plastic push pin things. I don't even know what they're called, clips, but they've got the screw head on them, so it's not just the one you can flick up with a flat head. You're meant to be able to, you know, undo them with a screw and then they pop out. Half of them don't pop out, so you've got to break them off, which is a nightmare. So there's all those little things, but the biggest annoyance was the screws. Also, the template that they gave us did not work, so we did have to do a lot of guesswork and measuring to make sure it would be all good. Oh, and something else I forgot about, if you're getting it for an Everest but it's a Ranger one, where it brackets to the top of your car, it's meant to sit, you're meant to put the bracket underneath the roof rails, and the roof rails go back down and click it in. That will not work at an Everest because it's one big beam, so you have to take the whole beam off, put it under. It's a nightmare. That's going to add a lot more time to it. So what we did, as you saw, just get that bracket, put it into the top of the roof rail, obviously sprayed it with a little bit of anti-rust, and there, got the job done. Look, it sounds great, it does its job. I'm actually getting, you know, an extra half a litre per 100 kilometres on my fuel economy, which is amazing. Always, you know, every little thing helps. Yeah, it's just those couple of little annoyances. I paid 150 bucks for it, so it's not too bad. Obviously, you could pay someone professionally to fit it. They're going to charge you $500-600 to fit it anyway, so then it becomes a little bit like, oh, may as well just get a custom-made one where they do the fitting for me. But yeah, I love it. It sounds great. Not as loud as I would want, as you can see, but you know, it does its job. So yeah, good to do some upgrades to the Everest finally. Got a few more that I'm wanting to do, but obviously money's everything. So that's gonna wrap us up for this video. If you did enjoy, please leave a like. If you didn't, refresh it, give it another chance. My name's Ben, this is Art, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.